Okay, so another common question I get asked, or I have been asked in the past, is what canvas size I use. Now I find this to be a very interesting question, or I find the fact that people ask this to be interesting. Firstly, because I generally struggle to see what the motivation behind the question is, right? What they're trying to figure out necessarily. Are they trying to replicate my style, or are they trying to do a pixel art style in general? Now, if they're trying to replicate my style in some way, okay, fair enough. Now, the interesting thing is I don't really know what canvas size I use, to be honest. I mean, I set a general canvas size when I'm starting out, so for instance, I might say file new that. I'll probably do something like this, 120 by 100. But when I create this large canvas, I'm not trying to create a sprite that takes up this entire size. I create it because I want some space, okay? I want some room, so when I'm drawing this stuff, I have a bit of a white space around so that it doesn't feel cramped. So it feels like I have some room to breathe. Like, let's say I want to move whatever this is, right? This black figure of 8, right? And I want to move it around. Well, I kind of want some space to move it around. But really, the character itself, I'm not really too conscious of in terms of its size. Like this, I can't tell you the dimensions of this guy or whatever this thing is right here, or something like this. I'm just staring at this. I can't tell you if this is 60 pixels tall, 40 pixels tall. I'd probably guess 60 by 50, something like that. And so we can do this to kind of figure out the general size. Okay, there you go. Yeah, 50 by 60. Okay, it may seem like I just checked that before I recorded this, but I assure you this is the first time I'm checking, okay? Believe me or don't believe me. So yeah, it's something like that, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you knowingly what that was. So what I'm trying to get at here is, I don't think it's really necessary to measure how tall or how wide your sprites are. I don't think it really matters. It's really just what style you're trying to go for. Now, of course, there's a point where you're at a certain canvas size and it goes from being pixel art to being high resolution, right? It loses that pixely feeling. And so if they're trying to find the general rules for pixel art, right, what the good canvas size for pixel art is, then I'm just going to throw out an arbitrary number now and say maybe something below 100. Something under 100 pixels should be good for a character of some kind. Again, it varies because maybe you're doing a large background piece, and so you're going to be able to get away with something a lot larger. Maybe something in the 300 pixel range or the 400 pixel range, okay? It all depends. I know it's a boring answer. It depends. It's not really solid. It's not immediately transferable, okay? You kind of have to figure stuff out for yourself. You have to figure out what style you're trying to achieve and how much effort and how much time you're willing to put into drawing things. Because naturally, if you're working with something higher resolution, then you're going to have to put in more details. That's a general rule of thumb, okay? It's not 100%, but yeah. If you're working with something that's 6 pixels by 6 pixels, then you've got a lot less details to worry about, a lot less precision than if you're working with something that's 100 by 100 pixels. Now for me, I tend to stay in this middle ground because I'm not too interested in details, but I also want the freedom to kind of create some more dynamic movements, which you might not be able to achieve with those smaller sprites. And even that's up for arguments, okay? So yeah, something in this range. I think the chicken here is going to be somewhere in the 32 pixel range, right? 32 pixels by 32 pixels, something like that. Or in this case, this one's probably a bit bigger, right? This one's going to be more, yeah, 38 by 44. It's a little bit bigger than the other one. And I reckon even if we copy this and... is it this one? We copy over to this one. We're going to copy a green square because we didn't actually copy the chicken. Right, I mean... okay, maybe it is the same size, sort of. And so I generally stay in this size, somewhere between 30 and 40 pixels, if that's useful at all. But you can even tell here that the style is actually quite a bit different. Not drastically different, but there's a general different feeling between these two sprites here, which is another point, right? People might think that they can emulate some kind of style as long as they're working with a specific canvas size, right? If I work with 32 pixels by 32 pixels, then I can make my work look like this, but that's not really how things work. If I make my, if I make it 16 by 16, then I can make it look like the old Mario games or the old Mega Man games, but a lot of it is really in how you draw things, how you use the amount of pixels you've been given, or the amount of pixels you've given yourself, how you draw the different features on the character. Do you make the head bigger? Do you make the body bigger? Do you use a 2 pixel outline instead of a 1 pixel outline? A lot of the style is in the proportions more than just how many pixels on the screen you have. Okay, so hopefully that answers in some way the question of what canvas size you use.